Welcome to the Crittenden Press series on Women in History as part of March being Women in History Month. We are presenting each week a different woman in local history, and this is presented by the Earl C. Clements Job Corps Academy over in Morganfield and the law offices of Rebecca Johnson in Marion, Kentucky. And on behalf of our partners in this, I want to welcome Coach Shannon Hodge, coach, wife, mother, grandmother, and just an inspiration to young women who has been, and she's been very successful in everything she's done, and we wanted to bring her on. I know we talk about Coach Hodge a great deal because she's in sports, and that gets a lot of attention in the community, but we're going to see another side of Coach Hodge today. We're going to find out what makes her tick and what got her to this point. So welcome, Shannon Hodge. Thank you for being here. And did you know March was Women in History Month?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did. I really haven't done anything like this with it before,
Yeah.
but just hearing about it, yes.
Well, again, we know about your successes on the court, or some do. We may have a broader audience with this show rather than something that's just strictly sports. But we want to get to more substance, I think, today, and learn how you have arrived at where you are today, and the tactics that you use to shape these young women in your just finished your 29th season as a basketball coach, and see what you do to really inspire those that are under your tutelage now. So let me kind of set the table. Coach Hodge was one of the, as Coach Hodge was once Shannon Collins, and when she, of course, her mother and father were very active in the community and still are. Her mother, Pat, worked in the courthouse for
The PVA
PVA
office for
under
several
Morris
years.
Corley for many years, and a lot of people may remember her. And of course, her father, Tony Collins, was the wildlife conservation officer here for
30 years.
Whole career, yeah. And just about everybody knows Tony Collins. So that's who she is. She was also a college All-American at center, one of the greatest players ever to play at Crittenden County High School, of course. Has taken her basketball teams to the Sweet 16, and for a team from Crittenden County to win the region and go to the Sweet 16 in a non-classified sport, I don't even know how to characterize how difficult that is and what a success story it is. But that was in 2011. She's the longest serving coach in Crittenden County history with 29 years of service. Longest serving female basketball coach ever in the second region, and one of the longest serving coaches in the state of Kentucky. With those 29, I know there's one other one that's active that's at 30 seasons. I believe 31 maybe this year, and that's at Sacred Heart. Very
Donna Moore.
Yeah, very successful
I know Donna, yes.
program there. So 3 trips to the regional semifinals now as coach, and 1 as a player. So that's Shannon Hodge. And that's her resume as a coach and a player, which is, again, very storied in the community. But we want to talk about how you got there. So let's go back and kind of from the beginning, who were some of the women in your life that influenced you at an early age and have kind of helped build you to what you are today?
Well, of course, my mother. My mom worked extremely hard. I remember, her just being a very selfless person. On work all day, come home. First thing she did is fix supper, then she's washing clothes and dishes and that kind of thing. And just being anything that anybody in the house needed her to be.
And there were 3 of you children.
3 of us, older brother and a younger sister. So, my mom set the stage for that as far as just being somebody who worked hard. And I remember her on a daily basis. I remember seeing her open the Bible, always read her Bible, somebody who made sure we were all in church. So the foundation of faith in my life, I have to give my mother the credit for that.
And I'll say, Of course, I've been here for 30 plus years now and watched you as a coach for 29. and I've seen behind the scenes, and the moral compass that you bring to bear, and the values and the character and the respect that you show others is it's unprecedented, really. I don't know another coach that brings that kind of stuff, and it comes from that foundation.
It does. It does. As far as mom, and then having other women in my life, both of my grandmothers, very respectable women. You might remember my grandmother, Dadie, I called her. My mom's mother was the Tupperware lady in town.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very social lady that people loved and was fun to be around. And again, someone who, she kept me when I was little. From a faith perspective, was very influential. My grandmother on the other side, Anna Collins, probably from an inspirational perspective, from getting into education. My grandmother taught here in Crittenden County for years and years, and neat story about her, I think she started teaching when she was about 18. And she rode a horse from where she lived, which is if you go out Highway 60, it's on the Collie Brown Road. She grew up there on that farm right off of 60. And if you cut back through, as a crow flies, it's not very far to where I live now on 654, but there was an old road that crossed our farm, and my grandmother rode her horse across where I live now, across our farm, and hit the Copper Springs Road and would go teach at Copper Springs, the one-room schoolhouse there. That's where she got her teaching start. Yeah. And, she taught here in Crittenden County for years, and then went to Missouri and taught for years, and then came back here to Crittenden County and worked in the school system a little bit more after that. So, as far as going and getting an education, I remember her always talking to me about getting to college, going to college, and getting that degree. And so she was very influential as well. Mm-hmm. I had several teachers. From the get go, I went to Mattoon Elementary. My first grade teacher. Well, let's back up from there. There wasn't a kindergarten, Crittenden County kindergarten, when I was that age, but Miss Rose Crider operated a private kindergarten in her home, and I was one of the fortunate kids in Crittenden County that got to do that when I was that age. Miss Rose was just a big personality of a lady, I thought, at that time, and really set the groundwork for us going to school and being respectful, and we had a lot of fun. But we learned how to go to school from Miss Rose, and then I had teachers like Margaret Thurman in the first grade, which would be now Diana Lusby's grandmother. Had her in the first grade, and she was a very a rock of a lady, I thought. She was an older lady at that time when I had her, but she set the stage.
How many generations of those Thurman women were teachers then?
Well, you got
your fifth.
Miss Margaret, and then you have Sylvia, and then Diana, and now Ashley.
Yeah.
So a lot of that family has been so instrumental in Crittenden County education.
Wow, yes.
But had her, and had Miss Leetta Faith, Miss Irene Decker. All these ladies were such role models. Mm-hmm. They were all older ladies then. I thought that but just really were such an encouragement to everyone in their classroom. And I have nothing but fond memories of those days at Mattoon Elementary.
Mm-hmm. And then from there, you came to the middle school and the high school?
I went to Mattoon through the 5th grade, and then I came to Marion Elementary. I was at the old junior high building here in the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. That's where I got introduced to sports in the county. I I wasn't involved in anything like that when I went to Mattoon. I don't know if we didn't know about it or if what, but
You country people
I
just
know
don't get to town very often.
we just didn't, And when I say some things like that, where Dennis gives me a hard time, But anyway, when I came to Marion Elementary, then I did start getting involved in Little League programs and things like that. Again, had wonderful teachers here. There was Francis Young and people like Bobby Burns and Francine Griffin. They were all ladies that I had in that 6th grade that were, again, great role models and were pushed you. All of these ladies that I've mentioned so far, I remember, in class we were pushed. We were pushed, and you learn to expect a lot out of yourself from them. So, but then I went to middle school and high school here. Again, a lot of great women that I had in the classroom there. You go to Brenda Foster and Mary Helen Hodges and Pat Soboleski and Linda Valentine and all kinds of folks there that were women that were very impressive in their careers that would have been inspirational to people.
And I think all of those are still living and active in the community or part-time. I know Mary Helen comes back, plays the organ at our church when she's back in town, but she lives down south, like all of retirees aspire to do. But I want to back you up just a little bit because it's when you talked about when you came to town, yeah. You picked up athletics, but at some point you played Little League football. Dennis, your husband, he's told this story to me before of how the two of you met. Can you recount that? And I will then let you know if that's the same story I heard from him.
There may be a little difference, but so when I came to town, so to speak, the first sport that was offered in the fall was football. And I had always been a tomboy, I guess, growing up. I was always enjoyed being outside and doing things. I will tell you that I remember at Mattoon, Stuart and I were the first kids to be picked up on the school bus. Right. Yeah. We're the first kids to be picked up on the school bus going to Mattoon as the bus was going out of town. And there were about, 8 or 10 of us maybe between our house and Mattoon that got picked up, and we would be dropped off at the school, and then the bus would continue on a route out down, toward the Union County line. And I remember, those mornings and afternoons, and then afternoons we were the last ones to be taken home, playing ball and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the first time, just like it was yesterday, I tried so hard when I was in the 1st grade, trying to shoot a basketball, get it up to the goal, And I can remember the first time the ball went in the hole. And I remember going home and being so excited and telling my mom, that I actually made a goal that afternoon.
How many tens of thousands have gone in since?
Yeah, I don't know. And how many tens of thousands I attempted before that, But I think that was the moment I fell in love with the game actually, But anyway, we'll go back to what you asked me. So when I came to town then in the 6th grade, football was the first sport that was offered. And so I asked Mom and Dad if I could play. Yeah. And, they were kind of hesitant at first, but there were 4 of us. There were 4 girls that wanted to
who were
play.
They? Can you remember?
Oh, yeah. Teresa Brantley at the time, who is Teresa Davidson now, married to Russ Davidson. Yeah. Tiffany Cox was the other, and June Lamb was the other. Not sure where Tiffany is now. I think June's in Marshall County. But anyway, the 4 of us signed up for football. So I remember going when you go get your helmets and shoulder pads and all that, it was out at the old armory. Uh-huh. And so we were in line to do that. And I heard this little voice behind me, this little squeaky voice behind me say, "Girls can't play football." And I turned around, and it was the first time I ever laid eyes on Dennis Hodge. And so I just turned around and shoved him down. And that was the first encounter that we ever had. Now, I don't know if he tells it quite like that, but that was our first meeting. And
it's a little bit different than what he shared, but it was close. I think he threw you down on the football field and looked you in the face and said, "I'm going to marry you."
Yeah, I don't know about that. But we definitely clashed helmets several times that year. But there were 4 teams. There were 4 teams. They put a girl on each team.
Oh,
And
why would they do that?
I don't know.
You were probably one of the best players.
But I got
That's
to play.
Separate the good ones, right?
Yeah, I had great coaches. Jerry and Donnie Mills were my coaches, and so I ended up playing fullback and middle linebacker for my team
You
that
were one of the
year.
best players
So
on the
Larry Orr was one of the other coaches, and I remember hearing him on the sideline saying that, get that ponytail. A ponytail be out behind my helmet, but. That was a lot of fun, but that was the first, I guess, organized team of anything I ever played on. And then that year, of course, I played Little League basketball as well. And Dennis and I ended up being on the same team that year on basketball. So we, our friendship got a little better, I guess. I don't know, but anyway.
When was your first date?
Oh, that wasn't until. Well, I was a junior and he was a sophomore. He's a year younger than me. You're behind me in school.
He looks a lot older.
Yeah. But anyway, it was a while. It was a while.
Yeah. I want to take just a moment to thank our partners in providing these Women in History Month series that we're doing here during March. The Earl C. Clements Job Corps Academy over in Morganfield. It's always seeking employees there. They have a link on our website that anyone that's interested in teaching or being in administration over there, and they have all sorts. It's a school, just a large campus. So they have competitive salaries, benefits package, and advancement opportunities, and that's for full and part-time and substitute teachers. And you know all about the Job Corps. I think you've dealt with some people who Vicki, one of your assistant coaches, your bookkeeper.
Right. Vicki worked over there.
And some others. So.
Right.
But anyway, to view those current openings, go to the Crittenden Press online, and you can see their link, or go to www.mtcjobs.com. Also, the law offices of Rebecca Johnson. For over 30 years, Rebecca Johnson has offered experience and her trusted advice regarding estate planning, inheritance tax planning, powers of attorney, living will directives, irrevocable trusts, and revocable trusts, Medicaid qualifications, and prenuptial agreements, estate administration, and filing of probate documents. That's Rebecca Johnson on West Belleville Street. We appreciate them for presenting our opportunities here. I want to jump back to one thing that you mentioned: Tupperware and riding horses to school. Two things we don't even think about in this modern age now. When we have remote learning, you
Right.
stay home and still supposedly be educated. I know we're on the cusp of where that's going to go in the future,
Right.
and that's pretty interesting. Just want to mention that. But let's talk just a little bit about Title IX. Now, probably most of our watchers and listeners to this program today will make some sort of connection of Title IX as being an athletics order from the government. Mm-hmm. It is an order from the government. It's a law that was enacted in 1972 as part of a broader education act amendment to provide or prohibit, I should say, sexual discrimination in any type of educational program or any educational program that receives federal funding. And, for those who don't realize, federal funding even goes to private universities, private high school. They still get some federal funding. So it really affected every educational institution virtually in the state. There are very, very few that do not receive some type. So what it did was not only provided for women's athletics to begin there, kind of to go back even further in history, there was women's basketball back in the 20s and
Right.
30s prior to World War II, and then the World War just really kind of like the pandemic has took away some baseball and track and softball season. It eliminated all those extra type activities that we couldn't devote any resources to at the time and needed to focus on the war. But after that, after 1972 and Title IX, they brought back women's athletics, and our first team was in 1974, and you played a little bit later. But it also opened the door for women to take calculus class, which they weren't allowed to do before, to join the FFA, to take shop class, to go to ag class, and many other things. Institutions that could not discriminate against women. I'm talking about higher education. There were a number that wouldn't take but a certain amount of women. Now that's all changed thanks to Title IX. And I guess you're a product of Title IX, because then you became a basketball star, and we wouldn't have had it just a few years earlier. It just seems almost unfathomable, right?
Right. I don't recall being limited at all as far as what I could do when I got to middle school or high school. I remember taking, industrial arts with L.B. Gaston.
And you were one of the first.
And I remember, I was never prohibited in being part of any kind of student government or whatever, which I was very active in, or other clubs or organizations. And today, golly, you see the FFA out here at the high school. We have female, ag teachers, and those young ladies that are in those classes are taking the lead as far as being officers and those kinds of things. And so it did change things, and it gave opportunities. And for me, wow, my life would be totally different if I had not have had a chance to be involved in athletics and those things. I can't even fathom,
Right.
what it would be like. So I'm very, very thankful for those opportunities.
And being the father of a couple of daughters, I mean, my daughter plays for you in basketball and plays softball, and I can't imagine what our lives would be without that in it. And
Right.
it's just, again, just as you said, it's unfathomable, it's unreasonable that at some point we discriminated. So,
Right.
and you even go back to women's suffrage. It hasn't been. There are people still alive today that couldn't vote. Well, probably not. Well, that was 80 years ago. So, there could be some people who, they would be 98. But some women, I should say, that women just became it became legal for them to vote because of a constitutional amendment 80 years ago. So, when you reflect on that, what does it tell you about where we have come as a society, as a culture? But then again, when you reflect on that and consider some of in the legislature today, they're having to decide whether women or people who consider themselves females, can they play men's sports, or can men or boys who consider themselves bi or things have certainly gotten changed, and I don't know where that's going to go, but certainly for the women, it's really positive, isn't it?
It is. And I've taught history for many years, and taught about women's suffrage, but women have always played a pivotal role in things, even before women's right to vote, before Title IX. And so, the importance of the role of the woman, whether it was in the time of when society viewed the woman's role to be totally in the home, or on up through the war times when women had to take over the jobs of the men because the men were at war, or today where women have that equal opportunity to in the society has definitely changed, and how that will continue to go, I don't know. But I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I have had, and that my daughters, or my oldest daughter, has had to go into the medical field, and that I see my younger daughter have as well. So, I'm very thankful for that.
I think probably we talk about this because we've just now, as an American society, codified this and made it law. But you can go back even to the time of 2,000 years ago, and I love to talk about this too, because Mary, who visited Jesus' tomb, was really and truly the first person to spread the gospel, because the resurrected Jesus says, Mary, go back and tell them the good news.
Right.
And so she was tasked with being the first person to spread the gospel. So
Right.
it started a long time ago.
It did. And like I said, women have always played a pivotal role in anything that's going on. You go back and study the founding of our nation, and those women, Martha Washington and Abigail Adams and all those people, they, I'm sure they were in their husbands' ears about a lot of things, and I'm sure that they trusted them as confidants about a lot of things, and ran a lot of things by them before they did them. But there's no doubt the importance of women in our history and in society today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to go back. Are there what women you're a historian and you read your Bible a lot. What women in the Bible are there any that really stick out in your mind that have had some kind of an impact or influence on any stories?
Well, I mean,
probably a lot of them.
Oh, sure, there's a lot. But Mary, the mother of Jesus, having to, my goodness, trust in what God was asking her to do. Wow. That's the foundation should be all of our faith. Who would have heard of a virgin birth? Nobody did, and it was. So her, but there plenty others. You mentioned Mary that went and spread the first gospel. You went out and spread the word after Jesus resurrected. Esther, Rebecca. There's just numerous women. But I think if you look at all of those women, I think just the foundation of faith, of unyielding faith, that I believe is the core of your life. That foundation of faith that I talked about, my mother exhibiting to us kids. That has to be what you have if you're going to have true hope and happiness in your life. Your relationship with Christ and your ability to have faith that whatever is happening right now is something that's part of God's plan, and that you're going to benefit from in the long run. One of my favorite verses is in Jeremiah. It says, I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, to give you hope. So I think we all have to keep that in mind.
I want to take a moment and recognize our partners, but when we get back on task here, we'll kind of close it out. But I want you to talk about your blueprint for shaping these young women that you deal with now. Mm-hmm. So again, I want to recognize the law offices of Rebecca Johnson, who has been in practice here for over 30 years, and folks value her experience, and she's a trusted advisor regarding a number of legal activities, including Medicaid qualification, prenuptial agreements, estate planning, filing of probate documents, estate planning, inheritance, and much, much more. And that's Rebecca Johnson on West Belleville Street. Plus the Job Corps over in Morganfield, Earl C. Clements Job Corps Academy, who, by the way, I don't know if... this made me think about it. Jackie Robinson once played baseball and was at the Camp Breckenridge. He was in the military. So for some reason, when I think of, it has nothing to do with the Job Corps, but it just makes me think of that. But anyway, the Earl C. Clemens Job Corps. Seeking employees, there's a link on the Crittenden Press website where you can go find those current openings, and they're looking for full-time, part-time substitutes in in all sorts of teaching and other capacities, administration on down to, I guess, the custodial type work. So that's the Earl C. Clemens Job Corps Academy. Coach Hodge, again, back to how, what I know. Again, I mentioned you have this very strong moral compass, and I know that has such an influence on how you shape these women. And I've seen it because two of my daughters have played basketball for you. And just talk about what is your mission and how do you achieve it?
Well,
you want to win basketball games, but you do so much more, and so does Dennis.
Well, we definitely. I don't think you'll find any more competitive people than Dennis and
right.
I. I'd be wrong of me to have this interview and not mention another person that was very influential, or who still is very influential in my life. Was actually the first female coach that I ever had would be Lee Wise Pruitt, who was my collegiate coach at center. And I think from her, I got a lot of the things that I try to implement in the Lady Rocket basketball program. As far as she was very, very much a lady that was strong in her strategy as far as basketball goes, X's and O's and that type of thing. But I think the way that she treated us as all being important, all being people that had special talents, abilities, gifts to bring to the floor. She was very demanding in our performance, but was very much a person that I knew I could count on in anything that I needed in life. And she's been someone who has been there for me. We're probably I would probably categorize her as my best friend now. We're very, very close. I just talked to her yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'm going up to the state tournament next week, and going to take Jordan and have her work Jordan out a few times while we're there. But she was just a great role model and mentor for me. But like I said earlier, I think that the foundation of your life is your faith. And I tell the girls a lot, if you have that part of your life right, doesn't mean that everything else is going to go right. Definitely life can throw you curveballs. But if you have that right, then you'll always have hope. You'll always have a means of getting through anything that life has to offer. And basketball and sports is such a teacher of life. Such a teacher of life. I mean, let's go back to last year. We're in the pandemic and we're trying to play basketball, and we make it through the season, playing a limited number of games, but all year long, our motto has been control what you can control, keep your circles small, try to stay, healthy, and we made it all year long. And then right before the district tournament, we get hit with COVID, and that was something that just happened, but it was so disappointing. We were going into the postseason being having swept the district, being number one in the district, being rated number 2 in the region, and so I hope that some of the things that we were very limited on how much we could get together after that. But I hope just some of the things that we've talked about as far as being able to handle the good times and the bad times. That was definitely something very disappointing. But, it also teaches make the most of every moment. I use that word moment this last couple of weeks with the girls a lot. Let's try to make the most of this moment that we have to be the best we can be, because you never know when you have another moment. And last year was proof of that. Been a lot of other things, that I know I've seen and others have that will will echo that sentiment. But I just hope that the girls can learn some life lessons that they can take with them and apply to their life. We talk about things like relationships. I'm coaching teenage girls. Come on, I mean, there's a lot of things that go on among teenage girls. I'm happy to say that the amount of things that have gone on that have been difficult to navigate among just players on the team. We haven't had that issue. Didn't have that issue this year. I've dealt with some in the past, but just being people who can relate to others. When you're with your teammates and you're with them more than your family, pretty much during basketball season, in your waking hours anyway, being able to handle their ups and downs and your ups and downs, and handle success and disappointment together. That's going to prepare them to be, wives, and it's going to prepare them to be employees, and it's going to prepare them to be the boss one day, and it's going to prepare them to be able to be in all those different types of relationships down the road. But I just think that we are very fortunate. I've always felt like I was very blessed to be here in Crittenden County and to be able to be home. And golly, now I'm coaching lots of players that I coach their mothers, But that's fun too. And I know if you went and asked their mothers, they'd probably say I'm a little bit different now than I was when I was a little younger and I had them. But, you gain a lot of wisdom over the years. But just to make them adults that will be successful, that can thrive on their own, and that can be happy, and just have that life again that's faith based, and where they can deal with whatever they're thrown.
Well, you do a tremendous job, and you open your home to these girls quite often just so they can fellowship together. And I'm sure there are coaches elsewhere that as soon as they can get away from them, they're ready. You spend, like you said, you spend so much time with them, but you go above and beyond. And we appreciate you sharing not only how you are shaping the role models of the future, but how you've been shaped from those role models when you were young in Crittenden County's history, and all these women in our local history. And we appreciate the Earl C. Clemens Job Corps Academy over in Morganfield and Rebecca Johnson's law offices for presenting this and making this opportunity available. So thank you so much, Coach.
Well, it's been great fun. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of good memories in the last few minutes here with you.
It gets a little emotional.
It does. It does. And, it's funny because Dennis and Jordan and I traveled over to the boys' semifinal games last night, and I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it just came up that things that Jordan, traits that she had that were like Dennis, or traits that she had that were like me, and I can't remember, but I said, well, I do cry, and I have emotion, and I show that. Maybe your dad doesn't do that as much, but that is one thing I do. I can't talk about things that mean a lot to me without, showing my emotion about it. My mother always told me I wore my emotions on my shirt sleeve. So maybe I do that some,
okay.
But I don't think that's always a bad thing.
No, it's okay. It's very good. People realize how much you care. All right. Well, thanks again, Coach.
Oh, it's been great.
You. Yeah,
been great. And I would say thanks, Rocket Nation, for all your support this year. My goodness, what a wonderful season we were able to have, and it was great to look up and see the sea of blue in the stands. And you don't know how much that means to me and the girls. It makes a huge difference. So thanks to everyone.
All right, and thank you to the Earl C. Clemens Job Corps and Rebecca Johnson, attorney in Marion, Kentucky.